Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk today about underrated or underutilized cards in multicolored decks. This is just going to be stuff, basically a place for me to vent stuff where I found in the Niv Mizzet deck that I would like to just bring to people's attention. And we're going to start today with the Aftermath card we see in front of us, Onward to Victory. So Onward, which is the side you cast from your hand, is 2 generic 1 red. Instant, target creature gains +X+O until the end of turn, where X is its power. And the Aftermath, which is 2 and a white and a sorcery, is Aftermath, target creature gains double strike at the end of turn. So for anyone who's not familiar with the Amonkhet cards, basically it's 2 spells in 1 card. You cast the first half Onward from your hand, and then you can cast Victory from the graveyard. You don't have to cast them both at the same time. You can cast them on separate turns, as long as you have, basically as long as Victory is in your graveyard, you can cast it at any point where the sorcery could be cast. So I use this card primarily in my deck a lot as a finisher, but one thing I'd like to point out in this deck, and I'd say whether or not you should consider this card, is are you running Swordforger? Sunforger, we know what this does. It's great equipment. You attach it, pay a Boros, deattach it. You get to search your library for a red or a white card, instant card with converted mana cost 4 or less, and cast without playing its mana cost, then shuffle your library. So this can grab the first half of Onward, put it in the graveyard, and cast it for free. Then you put it in the graveyard and you can cast the second half. So it's a nice double power effect for Sunforger decks, and it's essentially, in a way, something to consider is it's unattached Sunforger, get 2 cards, because once you've cast Onward you have the option of Victory from your graveyard. Another reason I would consider this is one of the main reasons I play it in the Niv Mizzet decks, is if your commander has any kind of evasion, for example flying here, or primarily as well has 6 power, you gotta remember Onward to Victory can be a one-shot kill. If someone doesn't have a flyer to block and your commander is 6 power or higher, you literally just cast both halves of the spell and you can one-shot kill anyone out of the game. Like, I have had games where I have one-shot people with Niv out of nowhere, and I've had games where literally my friends I've played against have seen their death coming because he literally could not get a flyer down and he knew I'd hit the card off Niv. So, for example, taking another example apart from Niv, if you play, for example, Zergo the Helm Smasher, a Voltron deck obviously, where you might get one turn where, say, you could get through and take out a troublesome player if you have, for example, a board wipe on your turn, or something to that effect. Or maybe your opponent you have that key bit of removal to just take out the one blocker they have left. Zergo, with his stats, is another instant kill, because he'll become a 14-2 double striker. Instantly takes him out of the game. So these are the questions you should be asking. Am I a Voltron commander? Do I have Sunforger? And would I want a double power effect for any of my creatures? So a little checklist to go off if you think you should run this card more. I mean, most recently, one of the best examples I found recently here is Waylif, Soul of Steel. A Trampler. You're going to put equipment on him, you might throw your Sunforger on him. You are going to draw a lot of cards with this deck. It's pure Voltron, so I mean, that's the nice thing about this card is you could literally, with Whale of Things, you could swing, draw the cards, find Onward to Victory, and then literally double his power and maybe snipe someone out of the game without them even realizing it. Okay, another thing to consider as well, and this is more of an example, is if you have a number of creatures that have maybe a trigger that you want to resolve on combat damage. So a good example is Tana the Bloodsower. So if you're running a Tana with another white partner, instant speed doubling her power to get double the amount of saplings also relevant. You could also then give her double strike to get double amount of tokens. very relevant. One of the creatures I use in another version of Niv is Ice Cold Selkie. Pretty bad example in this case. But what I will say is usually at the point of playing and using the Selkie, I've put some counters on it or have some Anthem effects to pump the power. So I could draw like 5 or 6 cards, always good and relevant. So to summarise, Onward to Victory. If you are an aggressive deck, or you run a several number of combat tricks, Sunforger, or even Voltron decks, or you have creatures that you would love to get through for damage effects, consider this card. Thank you for your time.